Well, tonight, our Contact 5 investigators learned Florida's controversial new election crimes and security office appears to be having a tough time hiring people to work in the office.
This is Katie LeGrone. Also exclusively discovers of the few employees who are on the payroll. One new hire is raising more than a few eyebrows over how and why she landed a leadership role in an election office that's supposed to be unbiased and nonpartisan.
We're not just going to turn a blind eye to this.
This was Florida Governor Ron DeSantis back in August, proudly announcing the new Election Crimes and Security Office he pushed for to uphold election integrity in the state.
This was my idea.
Had started off with a bang when it found nearly 20 former felons had illegally voted.
It's not just going to be 20 arrests. This is the opening salvo of an office that was just set up on July 1st.
But 5 months later, 4 of those cases have been dismissed. One resulted in a plea deal with a small fine. And we've discovered the governor's highly touted election security office barely has anyone on its employee roster. In fact, this latest organizational chart we obtained from the Department of State shows the number of vacant positions in the office far outnumbers employees on its payroll. And those empty seats span across every role in the office, including a senior attorney and a director in charge after its former chief, Pete Antonacci, died unexpectedly back in September.
You'd think they would have the positions filled by this point.
Stephen Crawford represents one of the nearly 20 ex-felons arrested as part of the unit's first roundup. His client, like most of the individuals arrested, claims he thought his voting rights had been restored and was issued a voter identity card before he cast his ballot in 2020. While his legal fight continues, Crawford isn't surprised the office tasked with investigating his client's case can't fill its own seats.
Shouldn't surprise anyone. There is no need for this office.
But he was surprised to learn what we discovered about one of its newest hires.
She is a former Republican political operative.
On paper, Brooke Rennie is listed as a program director for the Election Crimes Office. In this email, a spokesperson described Rennie, who was hired earlier this month at a salary of $100,000 a year, as the unit's new assistant director. But a search online reveals the 32-year-old's history with Florida elections has nothing to do with enforcing laws or upholding security. Instead, Rennie is a self-described political operative. Her Instagram account, Operative Life, is riddled with images of her work getting Republican candidates in Florida elected, including former Governor Rick Scott. In an online bio for a company she worked for, she's described as having stints with the Republican Party of Florida and receiving accolades from the Republican National Committee as one of the best-performing regional directors in the country. And while on her Instagram account, Rennie appears to show her impressive resume of working to sway Florida votes for Republicans.
Welcome to Operative Life.
In podcast she hosted last year titled Operative Life, she readily admits to what she doesn't know about the election process.
I will never tell you that I know everything about election integrity or election administration and what does or does not happen in an election. I am not an attorney, and I am certainly not an election law expert. But I have built multiple operations based on election law.
Is that the person who should be holding a leadership role in what's supposed to be a nonpartisan election crimes and security office built on election law, election integrity, election administration?
It's really that election administration, the last point, which I think is really critical for someone in a position like that, because you can find there are quirks in the way in which we run our elections.
Dr. Michael McDonald is a political science professor at the University of Florida.
Obviously, this person is not qualified to know the law about elections and how to prosecute people. But is it surprising to me that you would find somebody who is a campaign operative that's placed into a position of leadership of any bureaucracy, really? No, not at all.
Hey, Brooke, my name is Katie LeGrone.
Brooke Rennie wouldn't return our calls or texts. The Department of State declined our request for an interview with Rennie or Florida's Secretary of State. But in response to our questions about her qualifications, a department spokesperson sent us the following email. We are not going to respond to questions that are obviously meant to target and smear one of our staff. We were fortunate to have Miss Rennie join our team. Her experience in the field, including helping Floridians who were victimized by election crimes, gives her valuable insight into the operations of elections and combating election crimes.
The administration of elections and the enforcement of election law needs to be done in a very nonpartisan and apolitical manner.
Leon County Supervisor of Elections Mark Early also leads the state's Association for Election Supervisors. He didn't know about Rennie's hiring, but cautioned why her past could be a reason for concern in her new role.
There is a lot of power in that office, and I think you need to have a very even hand.
They have the ability to arrest people and to subject people to jail. So that's why we should take it seriously.
This legislative session, Florida's Secretary of State is asking for an additional $2.2 million and 27 more employees for this office. When asked about the unit's current vacancy problems, a spokesperson told me its hiring process is, quote, ongoing and always will be. I'm Katie LaGrone reporting.